The dining room of the Haverford family's Connecticut estate glowed under the flicker of a dozen candelabras, their flames casting long shadows across a mahogany table polished to a mirror's sheen. The air was thick with the scent of roasted pheasant, aged wine, and unspoken judgment. Beatrice Haverford, matriarch of this old money dynasty, sat at one end, her silver hair swept into a chignon as severe as her gaze. At the opposite end, her husband, Reginald, carved into his meal with the precision of a surgeon, his voice cutting through the clatter of silverware. "Another year squandered on your little website, Clara," he boomed, his words landing like a gavel. "I thought we raised our son to marry a woman with real ambition." Clara Monroe set her wineglass down, the crystal chiming softly against the table. Beneath the linen cloth, her husband, Julian Haverford, pressed his hand to her knee, a silent anchor amid the storm. They were at the annual Haverford Thanksgiving dinner, a ritual that felt less like gratitude and more like a gauntlet ever since Clara had married into this family of bankers and financiers 5 years ago. The room held 22 guests, cousins, aunts, uncles, and a smattering of family friends, all of whom turned to watch the exchange, their curiosity as sharp as the knives in their hands. "My business is actually thriving," Clara said, her voice steady, almost musical in its calm. "We've tripled our user base in the past 6 months alone." She met Reginald's glare without flinching, her hazel eyes catching the candlelight. Beatrice raised an eyebrow, her lips curling into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "How many crocheted scarves and lavender soaps did you sell this month, dear?" The condescension was a blade, wrapped in silk but no less cutting. Clara's smile held, polite but unyielding. If only they knew. The little website they mocked Clara's corner was merely the public face of something far larger. Horizon Solutions, a white-label e-commerce and fintech platform that had quietly become a juggernaut in markets from Singapore to Stockholm. Beneath the branding of artisanal goods and cozy lifestyle blogs, Horizon powered billions in transactions, its infrastructure woven into the digital backbone of global commerce. "Leave Clara alone, mother," Julian said, his voice tight but lacking the steel to fully challenge her. The Haverfords had a gift for shrinking everyone in their orbit, even their own children. Julian, with his boyish charm and earnest heart, was no exception. Reginald waved a dismissive hand, his cufflinks glinting as he sliced into his pheasant. "We're just concerned, Clara. You're a bright woman, Princeton, wasn't it? Top of your class. You could be doing something substantial. A role at Haverford Capital, perhaps. Instead, you're peddling trinkets online." Clara's fingers tightened around her napkin, but her expression remained serene. She thought of the encrypted files locked in her home office, the ones outlining tomorrow's bombshell. A partnership that would redefine Haverford Capital's future. For all its storied legacy, the firm was bleeding relevance in the fintech race. Its board, desperate to modernize, had turned to Horizon Solutions as their lifeline. If only Reginald knew who controlled it. Beatrice leaned forward, her diamond earrings catching the light. "Speaking of real success, Julian, we're thrilled about your promotion to deputy director next quarter. Finally, something worth celebrating." Julian shifted beside Clara, his jaw tightening. He was proud of her, proud in a way that ran deeper than his family's approval, but only he, Clara's attorney, and her COO knew the full scope of Horizon. "Thanks, Mom," he muttered, his eyes flicking to Clara with a warmth that said more than words. "Yes, well," Reginald raised his glass, "at least one of you understands what it means to build something lasting. Banking is the bedrock of this nation, not these fleeting digital fads." Clara bit her tongue, her mind flashing to last month's meeting with Victor Grayson, CEO of Haverford Capital. He'd flown to her Manhattan office, a sleek space disguised as a startup hub, and all but pleaded for Horizon to consider a merger. Haverford's systems were relics, their servers creaking under the weight of a digital economy they couldn't grasp. Victor's offer had been generous, too generous, betraying their desperation. They thought they were buying her out. They had no idea she was poised to turn the tables. "More wine, Clara?" Beatrice asked, her smile as brittle as the glass in her hand. "You must need it, spending all day with those, what are they called? Internet personalities." "Influencers," Clara corrected gently. "And no thank you. I have an early meeting tomorrow." Reginald's laugh was syrupy, edged with disdain. "Another virtual craft fair?" Julian spoke up, his voice firmer now. It's a meeting with your board, Dad. The room froze. Reginald's fork hovered midair, a bead of sauce dripping onto the tablecloth. What are you talking about? Clara's been invited to consult on Haverford Capital's digital strategy, Julian said, his eyes glinting with pride as he gave Clara a subtle nod. Given her expertise in global e-commerce. Absolutely not, Reginald snapped, his face reddening. Victor wouldn't. He already did, Clara said, her smile finally blooming into something genuine. Tomorrow they'd learn just how real her little website was. Beatrice let out a nervous laugh, her fingers twisting the pearls at her throat. Surely there's been a mistake. No offense, darling, but what could a boutique retailer possibly offer a financial institution like ours? You'd be surprised, Clara said, leaning back in her chair. Did you know that over 80% of banking transactions now happen online? Or that legacy banks are losing ground to fintech startups at a rate of 10% per quarter? Preposterous, Reginald scoffed, but his eyes betrayed him uncertainty, maybe even fear. He knew she was right. Haverford Capital's client base was eroding, its infrastructure a dinosaur in a world of agile predators. We've been serving clients for a century, he barked. We won't be undone by some trendy app. Clara tilted her head, her voice soft but unyielding. Times change, Reginald. The only question is whether we evolve or get buried. The rest of dinner passed in a haze of strained small talk. Beatrice pivoted to safer topics: charity galas, the family's Martha's Vineyard estate, while Reginald glowered into his plate. As Clara and Julian prepared to leave, she overheard Reginald cornering his son by the coat-room, his voice a low hiss. Rein her in, Julian. It's bad enough she wastes her time on that internet nonsense, but now she's meddling in our business. Fix this, or your promotion might hit a snag. Julian didn't respond, but when he climbed into the passenger seat of their Tesla, he burst into laughter. Did you see Dad's face when I mentioned the board? I thought he was going to choke on his own ego. Clara smiled, her hand steady on the wheel as they wound through the gated estates of Greenwich. Just wait until he finds out who owns Horizon. How much longer do we keep this under wraps? Julian asked, his voice tinged with excitement as they turned onto the private road leading to their lakeside home. A modernist glass and steel marvel the Haverfords assumed they were leasing on credit. Clara glanced at her watch. About 12 hours. The meeting's at 8. Julian shook his head, grinning. For years of their smug lectures, their pitying looks, their when are you going to get a real job jabs. And tomorrow, they find out you're the one saving their empire from collapse. Not saving, Clara corrected, her voice cool. Reshaping. Haverford Capital is 6 months from insolvency without us. In her home office, Clara unlocked a biometric safe and withdrew a leather-bound portfolio. Not the merger terms Haverford's lawyers had drafted, those were theater. A decoy to keep their egos intact. These were her terms, finalized by her legal team. Horizon Solutions would take a 70% stake in Haverford Capital, with Clara assuming a controlling board seat. The firm would be rebuilt from the ground up, its branches digitized, its systems integrated with Horizon's proprietary tech. The Haverford name would survive, but its power would answer to her. Her phone buzzed with a text from Victor Grayson. All set for tomorrow. Board's in. Nervous but ready. Clara traced the Horizon logo on the portfolio, a sleek arc that symbolized everything she'd built. Thank you, Reginald, she whispered. You showed me exactly how to outmaneuver a dying giant. Julian appeared in the doorway, holding 2 glasses of champagne. To tomorrow. Clara took a glass, letting the bubbles tickle her tongue. You know what's ironic? If they'd ever bothered to explore Clara's corner, the UX design, the payment gateway, the predictive analytics, they might have figured it out. It's all Horizon tech. Right there in plain sight. Julian laughed. They were too busy rolling their eyes to notice. Mom still thinks you're dropshipping scented candles. Exactly, Clara said, sipping her drink. I've been demoing the future of commerce for years, and they couldn't see past their own prejudice. Outside, the lake reflected a crescent moon, its surface still as glass. But by morning, that calm would shatter. Haverford Capital was about to face a reckoning, and Clara Monroe was its architect. At 7:45 a.m., Clara stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of Haverford Capital's boardroom, the Hartford skyline stretching below like a chessboard. The room was a monument to tradition: mahogany walls, oil portraits of stern-faced founders, chairs that creaked with the weight of legacy. She wore a tailored navy suit, her chestnut hair pulled into a low bun, every inch the understated powerhouse. Board members trickled in, offering polite nods, their curiosity piqued by her presence. Then came Reginald, his stride faltering when he spotted her. "What is she doing here?" he demanded, his voice echoing off the paneling. "This is a private session." "Good morning, Reginald," Clara said, turning to face him. "Victor invited me." "Victor?" Reginald spun toward the CEO, who was arranging a stack of documents with deliberate calm. "Explain this." Victor didn't blink. "Mrs. Haverford's presence is critical today." Reginald's jaw tightened, but before he could retort, Beatrice swept in, her cashmere scarf trailing like a banner. "What's going on? You said this was urgent." Her eyes landed on Clara and she froze. "Why is she here?" "Please everyone take your seats," Victor said, his tone clipped. "We have a lot to discuss." The board settled, their murmurs a low hum of anticipation. Reginald and Beatrice sat flanking Victor, their postures rigid as if bracing for a blow. Clara stood at the head of the table, her presence a quiet command. "As you know," Victor began, "Haverford Capital has been pursuing a digital overhaul to remain competitive. 4 months ago, we entered talks with Horizon Solutions, a leader in e-commerce and fintech infrastructure." He paused, letting the weight of the name settle. "This morning, I'm pleased to announce that the acquisition has been finalized." The room erupted in polite applause, a few board members exchanging approving nods. Reginald puffed out his chest, clearly believing this was his triumphant deal to secure his legacy. "However," Victor added, his voice sharpening, "there are significant updates to the terms." He gestured to Clara. "Mrs. Haverford, would you care to elaborate?" All eyes turned to her. Clara stepped forward, her heels clicking softly on the hardwood. 5 years ago, I founded Horizon Solutions. It began as a platform to empower small businesses with seamless online storefronts. Within 18 months, we expanded into payment processing, digital banking, and secure fintech architecture. Reginald blinked, his mouth parting slightly. "That's not possible." "Clara's Corner, your little shop." "Clara's Corner was a proof of concept," Clara continued, her voice clear and unhurried. "Every transaction, every click, every customer interaction fed data into Horizon's engine. We weren't selling soaps and scarves, we were building the most advanced e-commerce ecosystem on the planet." She clicked a remote, and the room's screens flickered to life. Dashboards bloomed with metrics, transaction volumes spiking into the billions, user growth curves climbing exponentially, market penetration across 6 continents. Horizon's numbers made Haverford Capital's balance sheets look like a child's lemonade stand. "Last quarter," Clara said, "Horizon processed $22 billion in transactions. Our digital banking arm now serves over 250 million users worldwide. And today, Horizon isn't joining Haverford Capital. We're acquiring it." The silence was deafening. Reginald's face went ashen, his knuckles whitening around the armrests. Beatrice clutched her scarf, her lips trembling. The board members shifted, some leaning forward, others frozen in disbelief. "Impossible," Reginald muttered, his voice barely audible. "You're just a hobbyist." "No, Reginald," Clara said, her gaze locking onto his. "I built an empire while you were too busy dismissing me to notice." Victor began distributing folders, each embossed with Horizon's logo. "Horizon Solutions is taking a controlling stake," Clara said. "Haverford Capital will retain its name, but its operations will integrate fully with our platform. Every employee will keep their role, though executive leadership will see adjustments." "This is absurd," Reginald roared, slamming his fist on the table. "The board would never." "They already have," said Margaret Ellison, the board's longest-serving member. Her voice was calm but firm. "We've reviewed Horizon's financials, Reginald. This isn't just a merger, it's a lifeline. Without it, Haverford Capital would be bankrupt by next spring. Beatrice gasped, her hand flying to her chest. Bankrupt? Yes, Clara said, her tone softening but not wavering. Your systems are 20 years outdated. You're losing clients to fintech disruptors at an unsustainable rate. Horizon is your only path forward. Reginald slumped back, the fire draining from him. How did we not know? How did I not know? Clara looked at him, memories of countless dinners flashing through her mind, every smirk, every patronizing comment, every assumption she was less than. You did know, she said quietly. You just never looked. Every time you laughed at my website, you were dismissing the platform you're now begging to join. The room dissolved into chaos. Board members fired questions, some outraged, others awestruck. Beatrice whispered frantically to Reginald, who stared at Clara like she was a stranger. Victor called for order, outlining the logistics. Signatures, timelines, press releases. By noon the deal was sealed, and the news hit the wires. Horizon Solutions acquires Haverford Capital in landmark fintech merger. That evening Julian found Clara in her new office, Reginald's former suite, now stripped of its dated decor and fitted with sleek monitors displaying real-time Horizon metrics. He leaned against the doorframe, grinning. Mom's holed up at the yacht club, drowning her sorrows in martinis. Dad's telling his golf buddies he orchestrated the whole thing. Clara laughed, standing by the window as Hartford's lights blinked awake below. How long until they figure out I'm not just a consultant? Probably when they see your name on the boardroom plaque, Julian said. Or when they realize Clara's corner just on board their country club's payment system. Clara's phone buzzed relentlessly. Reporters, investors, colleagues. Headlines were already spinning. From Etsy to Empire. The woman who outsmarted Wall Street. She silenced the notifications, her focus drifting to the horizon beyond the city. This was only the beginning. Over the next year, Haverford Capital transformed. Its marble-clad branches became digital hubs, its paper ledgers replaced by blockchain-secured archives. The firm that once scoffed at apps became a global leader in agile finance, its brand revitalized under Horizon's tech. Clara preserved the Haverford name, honoring its history while dragging it into the future. Reginald and Beatrice adapted grudgingly. They still attended family dinners, but Beatrice no longer critiqued Clara's career, and Reginald's lectures had softened into awkward silences. Clara kept Clara's corner running, a living lab for Horizon's innovations, still selling the soaps Beatrice secretly ordered in bulk. Julian earned a board seat at Horizon, not through his surname but through his work in scaling their AI-driven analytics. Sometimes, Clara caught Reginald staring at the Horizon logo now crowning the old Haverford Tower, his expression a mix of resentment and wonder. He was still trying to grasp how the future had slipped through his fingers, disguised as the daughter-in-law he'd underestimated. Clara's office became a bridge between eras, vintage Haverford ledgers shelved beside quantum computing prototypes, awards for tradition sharing space with patents for disruption. Because success, she'd learned, wasn't always loud. Sometimes it grew quietly, persistently, while others looked away. And to anyone out there building in the shadows, ignored, underestimated, or told your dream is too small, Clara had a message. Keep going. Your moment isn't just coming. It's already here, waiting for you to claim it. Let your work roar when the world finally listens.
If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.